Hello, sixth graders. So today we're going to continue talking about coordinate planes, but we're actually going to be finding the distance between certain points on a coordinate plane. Now, later on in your schooling, you'll be able to find distance between any points on a coordinate grid. But what we're going to do is take two ordered pairs and find the distance between them. But it's just going to be a straight line. So we're going to be following the coordinate grid. So they're either going to have the same x coordinate or the same y coordinate. We're never going to be going diagonal. We're always either going to be horizontal or vertical to find the distance. So let's answer these questions. It says, what is the distance between Lee's house and school? So I see Lee's house is here and school is here, okay? If this is Lee's house and this is school, how could I find the distance between Lee's house and school? What could I do? Well, I can count all of the boxes in between Lee's house and school. And if I do that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the distance would be, now they give us miles. So each box is 1 mile. So if we have 5 in between Lee's house and school, it's 5 miles. All right. They're also asking, what is the distance between school and the store? Again, this is a horizontal line that we're doing. So we can count the boxes in between. 1, 2, 3. So again, each box is 1 mile. So it's 3 miles. And then lastly, it says, what is the distance between the playground right here and Lee's house? Okay. Well, we can kind of use our prior knowledge. We know that Lee's house between the schools 5 miles, and we can continue 6, 7, 8 to the playground. So it would be 8 miles in total. Okay, so it's pretty easy when you see a picture to kind of find the distance between the points, because you can just count the squares in the coordinate grid or coordinate plane to find the distance. Okay, but my question is for you is, how do you find the distance when the points are not graphed for you? Okay, so in the set of ordered pairs given, circle the numbers. So basically, I'm gonna go over how, if we're just given an ordered pair or two ordered pairs, how can we find the distance between them if it's not graphed on a coordinate plane? How could we find the distance? So the first step in a set of ordered pairs, you're always going to circle the numbers that are the same. Okay? The ordered pairs will either have the same x-axis point or the same y-axis point. And like I said before, they're either always going to be vertical or horizontal. They're either always going to have the same x-axis or the same y-axis. Once you circle what's the same, then you're going to look at the numbers that you did not circle. So, for example, in this example that's given here, we have the first ordered pair 3, -6, and the second ordered pair -7, -6. Okay, what is the number or the ordered or the coordinate, I guess, that is the same in both ordered pairs? Well, -6 is the same in both ordered pairs, so we're going to circle that. And then we're going to look at the other 2 points that we did not circle, the other 2 numbers. So 3 and -7. So this step tells you if they are opposite numbers, I'm sorry. If they are opposite signs, basically what that means, a minus or a negative and a positive, they're opposite signs, you're going to take the absolute value of both and subtract. Oh, no, not subtract. I'm sorry. Add. Okay, so I'll do that for you. Okay, so we have 3. We'll take the absolute value of 3, and we'll take the absolute value of -7. So this equals 3. The absolute value of -7 is 7. And what we would do with 3 and 7, we would add them. So the distance between those 2 points would be 10, okay? So if they are opposite signs, meaning the ones that you did not circle, you're going to take the absolute value of both and add, okay? And the reasoning behind that, let's say if we were actually to graph those points, okay? 3 negative 6 over 3 down negative 6 would be around here. Negative 7 negative 6 would be around here. So those are where the 2 points are. And it makes sense because we have this distance and this distance. So we have to add both of those distances. And again, we're finding distance, so that's why we're taking the absolute value, because distance is never negative, okay? So that's if they're opposite signs. Now, again, look at this example down below. We have 7 negative 2 and 7 negative 5. We're going to circle the numbers that are the same, okay? And then what we're going to do, we are going to look at the numbers that we did not circle. If they are the same sign, meaning both positive or both negative, you're going to take the absolute value of each, and instead of adding like we did before, we are going to subtract. So, for example, the absolute value of negative 2, because that's what we're finding. The absolute value of negative 2 is 2. The absolute value of negative 5 is 5, okay? And if we subtract 5 minus 2, we would get 3. So the distance between those 2 points is 3 units. And let me show you what I mean by that, okay? So let's look at this graph again. If we were to graph 7 negative 2, it would be around here. And then 7 negative 5 would be here. Okay, they're in the same coordinate plane, in the same quadrant, okay? So the distance, we would just subtract the distance between the two, okay? So if you realize, if they're opposite signs, they cross, they're in 2 different quadrants, okay? Meaning that you're going to have to add those distances. But if they're in the same quadrant, you're just going to subtract that difference. All right, so let's do some examples. So you're going to find the distance between the following points. And again, do exactly what we just did. Okay, I'm going to actually draw just a little graph here, so maybe we can get a little visual. All right, so circle the numbers that are the same in both of the ordered pairs. So in the first ordered pair, number 3 is the same. And then you're just going to look at the numbers that we did not circle. So we have negative 7 and negative 2. Do those numbers have the same sign or different signs? They have the same sign. So think in your head, same sign equals subtract. Same sign, subtract, okay? But before we subtract, we need to take the absolute value. So the absolute value of negative 7 is 7. The absolute value of negative 2 is 2. So 7 minus 2, 5 units. Okay, and that makes sense. If we were to sketch this on this coordinate plane, over 3 down negative 7, over 3 down negative 2, they're in the same quadrant. Okay, so if they're in the same quadrant, you're going to subtract to get that distance. All right, the next problem. Circle the numbers that are the same, negative 4, negative 4. So we're going to focus on the 2 other numbers that are not circled, okay? 2.5 and negative 7.5. Do they have the same sign or different signs? They have different signs. So if they have different signs, we're not going to subtract, we're going to add. So the absolute value of 2.5 is 2.5. The absolute value of 7.5 is negative 7.5 is 7.5. And if we were to add those two together, 7.5 plus 2.5 would give you 10 units. And if we were to graph it on our coordinate grid, 2.5 negative 4 is around here. 7.5 negative 4 is around here. They're in 2 different quadrants, so we have to add this and add this section to get our total amount of units, okay? Do the next one by yourself. Find the distance between 5, 2, and 4, 2, and see what you get. How many units? So we're going to circle what's the same. We see 2 in each ordered pair, Okay, and now we're going to focus on the digits that we did not circle, 5 and 4. Do they have the same sign or different signs? They have the same sign, so you subtract. So take the absolute value of 5, which is 5, absolute value of 4, which is 4, 5 minus 4. They are 1 unit apart. Okay, and if we were to graph that, 5, and again, I'm just graphing these to show you so you understand where they are. 5, 2, and 4, 2, we can see that they're just 1 unit apart, okay? Complete the next one by yourself. Find out how many units apart negative 1 75 hundredths, 7, and negative 1 75 hundredths, negative 11 are from each other. So again, circle the same number and then deal with the numbers that you did not circle to decide what to do with those. So the numbers that are the same are negative 1 75 hundredths in both. So we're going to look at 7 and negative 11. Do those have the same sign or different signs? They have different signs. So if they have different signs, we take the absolute values and add them. Okay, so absolute value of 7 is 7. Absolute value of negative 11 is 11. We're going to add those, and we get 18 units. And again, if I were to graph this on my coordinate grid, okay, we have negative 1 75 hundredths, 7, negative 1 75 hundredths, negative 11. It crosses through the x-axis, so it's in 2 quadrants. So you have to add the distance from this one to 0 and from this one to 0 to get the whole entire distance of 18 units. And lastly, try the next one by yourself. Find the difference between those 2 ordered pairs. So we circle what's the same, negative 5 and negative 5. And now let's focus on what's different, 7 and negative 2. Okay, so are they the same sign or different signs? They are different signs, so we're going to add, because remember, same sign, subtract. We only subtract if we have the same sign, okay? So absolute value of 7 is 7. Absolute value of negative 2 is 2. We add them, and we get 9 units. So again, it's important that we're finding the absolute value because distance is never negative. So that's why we keep finding the absolute value of those points, because we know that distance can never be negative. All right, so attached to this Ed puzzle is going to be a Google form where you're going to be finding the distance between certain points. Some points may be graphed like this, where you can just count the boxes or the squares to get to your point. Sometimes, though, they're not always graphed, so you need to make sure that you follow these rules to help you, okay? So, and also if you want to, you can even draw a little coordinate plane to kind of help you visualize that. I know for me, it helps me just kind of see what I need to do. But again, if you follow these rules and look at your notes to help you, you will be just fine. All right. Let me know if you do have any questions, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Make sure to, if you haven't already, complete the quiz for today as well. All right, so because you have this Ed puzzle along with just your topic 4142 quiz, which is just basically dragging points over to a coordinate grid where they are located. All right, if you have any questions, please let me know. See ya.